Amazing time zone this morning. I am in New Zealand. I'm in a little place called Waipapa, which is in the very far north of New Zealand. And it's 7:04 a.m. And I know for our folks in the UK, it's after 8. So we're really reaching across time zones today. So thank you so much all for making the time to come and join us. It is going to be a packed session, and I'm going to try and kind of blast through my slides and give you a smorgasbord of information. And then we're going to have a big chunky time for questions because I'm sure there's going to be many. So to set the space, I would I would invite you to close off all of your other distractions. Get rid of Slack, get rid of LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever is pinging in the background. You've chosen to be here for a reason. And what I would love to understand is what that reason is. If you could pop in the chat and make it very short, a couple of words, a short sentence. Why are you here when you could be doing literally anything else in your day, in your evening? What brought you to this exact session? If you'd like to pop that in the chat so we can get a bit of an idea. Been procrastinating on launching a newsletter. Fantastic. You are not alone in that. Ooh, like to learn how to monetize. Just curious. We're here for that. Trying to commit to starting a new newsletter structure. And Kita, you're in the right place. I'm going to give you a literal structure today. We need some improvement. We want to know more about beehiiv. Okay. So helpful. So helpful. Thank you so much, everyone. Let me try and get back to Italia. It's difficult using only one screen. Okay, the rules. I'm going to set some little ground rules for our session today. They're similar to all of the, if you've ever been to a GW session, this will not be new, but if you are new here, I just want to kind of create these ground rules for all of us. The first one is to be here. So I've already mentioned this. We're going to be closing off our other tabs. We're going to be present. We're going to be engaging. The second is to be collaborative. This is clearly not going to be a problem. I can see the chat is going absolutely bananas. So this is what it's all about. Get involved at the end. We're going to do something where we can all connect with each other. So make sure you stick around till the end. We're going to be kind. We're a big group. Some of us are absolute newbies. Some of us are further along. We are going to make sure we're respectful and we are not coming off mute throughout unless we have a question. And we're also going to be brave. There's going to be some challenges at the end as well. So that will be a great chance to be brave and do something out of your comfort zone. And we'll be all in it together to do it together. So without further ado, let's get into it. There's going to be 3 things that we are going to be covering today. The first is so the 3 things that you need to have a kick-ass newsletter. I shorten everything. I'm from New Zealand, so you probably will see me saying newsy at some points. We're also going to have a tutorial, and this is going to be from Jake from beehiiv, and it's going to be quick. It's going to be 10 minutes. These are the things, especially if you're curious about what makes beehiiv awesome, that is the thing you really want to pay attention to. And then I'm going to share some of my top 5 tips from growing to 43,000 subscribers. And that's been completely organic. So if you're with me, pick any emoji and drop it in the chat, or maybe the emoji of the vibe that you're feeling now, the energy that you're feeling. And I'll keep an eye out in the chat. Okay. We got the rockets have entered the chat. It means we are ready for takeoff. Let's go. Okay, so if we haven't met, hi, I'm Millie. I am from New Zealand and I am a founder, a creator, a writer, and basically a hardcore generalist. I live in Scotland, but I'm actually back in New Zealand right now because one of my superpowers is being present when family or friends are about to give birth. And so I am here to help my little niece or nephew, TBD, come into the world. And apart from one day dreaming of being a birth doula and adding that to my generalist toolkit, I run Generalist World alongside Edja, and we are a career network for people who have non-traditional squiggly careers. So if you're here, it's pretty likely that that resonates with you. And so I wanted to tell you something kind of crazy that happened just this week. I paid off my student loan in full. A one transfer gone. And I did that through newsletter sponsorship money. It was through money that I got from writing a newsletter. And I wanted to share the story as the opener because when I started this newsletter over 3 years ago, I had just hoped maybe it would like cover a little bit of expenses. I didn't even know if it was going to make any money at all, to be honest. But now, with our newsletter and our community, we are able to fund 2.5 jobs plus a bunch of contractors. It's allowed me to pay off my student loan. And I think it's not dramatic to say that sending this newsletter has changed the trajectory of my career and my business. And not to mention, I get to help 43,000 people every week build amazing generalist careers. So I am huge on newsletters. I am huge on owning access to your audience. I think if you're ever posting on social media at the moment, you know that the algorithm is tetchy and you don't own it at all. You're renting it completely. So this is a way that you have direct access to the people who care about you and the people that you care about. So I am excited. Hopefully, this session today can be the catalyst for hundreds of you to start your own newsletter in 2026. That is what I want for you. Okay, where are you currently at? Are you thinking about starting? Are you ready? Are you ready to start? Have you launched a newsletter already? Or are you a serial newsletter creator? Drop them in the chat. Let me know so we can see which stage you're at. Thinking, launched. Okay, so a lot of launched, a lot of thinking. Planning and delaying. Don't worry, Tess. We got you. This is the session. Ready. Oh, Netta, hi. Thinking. Okay, epic. So, to be honest, wherever you are on the spectrum of the launch, it's okay. This session is going to be valuable for you. And I think when you are thinking about launching or growing or restarting, whichever level you are on in the launch process, it can be a bit overwhelming. It's like, what platform do I use? What do I write about? How do I know what people want to read? How do I reach these people? How do I grow this newsletter? Do I monetize? When do I monetize? It can be overwhelming. I've been there. And I hope that the session today can share some of the things that I learned along the way so that you can shortcut your own journey. I think although it can be overwhelming, when I was planning this presentation, I was like, let's just boil it down to like the nitty gritty. Like what is the crux that we're talking about here? And I think it's these three things. Value is the first one. Non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. You could have all the fancy tricks and automations and blah, blah, blah. If there's no value in it, people aren't going to read it. People aren't going to share it. People aren't going to forward it to their friends. So, what is the value that only you can provide? Format. Oh my gosh, this took me way too long to figure out. I'm going to shortcut your journey a very long way by just doing the format thing with you. We're going to spend some time on the formats. And I also have put in here early on, what can you write about for 3 years? And I say that to set a realistic time horizon. I think it's true of many things on social media. It seems like it's really short and it's going to be really quick and easy. But I just wanted to zoom you out to that time horizon of multiple years because anything that is quality is going to take a long time to be able to build. So just to set that expectation. And the third one is about culture. I don't see people talking about this, but I think for me, it's been one of the most important things of the Generalist World newsletter. How do you want to make your readers feel? And I wanted to call this out really early on because I think a lot of people don't realize that you can make people feel something, that your newsletter, that your emails, they have an impact. They can have a culture or a lore to them. So we're also going to dig into those things. Okay, so let's first get started on the theme. So This is going to be the basis of the value that your newsletter creates. And I want to give a shout out. You guys might kind of recognize this to the OGs who started Jobs to Be Done framework. I've done our own little spin on it. And the way I like to think of it is that your subscribers are hiring you to do a job for them. It might be a free newsletter, it might be a paid newsletter, it really doesn't matter. That job might be to save them money. It might be to save them energy. It might be to help them fast track to get the jobs that are relevant to them. That is the job that the Generalist World newsletter does. And if you can land really, really clearly on what the job is that you're able to do for people, this is where you know you're going to have value. So, for example, on Tuesdays, we send the job opportunities newsletter. It's really clear value. It's saying, okay, here's a curated list. We spend hours curating this list of links. They're specifically for generalists. And then people know every time that they click and they open that there's a level of trust that people have, that they're going to get value from that newsletter. We also have a podcast newsletter which provides a different kind of value, and I do want to kind of touch on it very quickly because it is what I like to think of as a value flywheel. So if we think of the Tuesday newsletter as straight curated links, we can think of the Friday newsletter as our podcast. And so our podcast email is recorded with our Generalist World community members, only with community members. You would like fall over at how many emails I get being like, can I come on the podcast? But it is strictly for community members. And so the beautiful flywheel of that is if someone becomes a GW member, I interview them, we make it into a beautiful, lovely podcast, and then we amplify it and then we send it out to our 43,000 newsletter subscribers. So not only are we creating content that's fantastic for generalists, by generalists, about generalists, it becomes content for the newsletter. And so I wanted to call this out early because if you can find a flywheel like this, where it becomes content, but also your audience or your customers or your members are also getting massive value, that's a win. That's like the gold. You've then found the little treasure chest. But as a minimum, sit with this question. What job will my subscribers hire my newsletter to do for them? Okay, so we are going to put 2 minutes on the clock. 2 minutes on the clock. And what I want you to do, and you're welcome to do this in the chat or you're welcome to do it on a piece of paper. I want you to brain dump what comes to mind when you think of what are the different jobs that you could do for your audience. And this, don't stress it too much. You're allowed to change your mind. This is just a starting point. Any questions? Give me a thumbs up if that all sounds okay. Awesome, seeing a few thumbs up. We've got some ambient music and we'll put 2 minutes on the clock. What job will your subscribers hire your newsletter to do for them? 30 seconds left. If you've been writing it on a piece of paper, feel free to add it to the chat. It's amazing to see the diversity of ideas coming through. Ah, and if nothing else, wasn't that a lovely little 2 minutes to chill out to with some ambient music? Thank you so much for sharing in the chat. Hopefully this has given you, it will be interesting to see like what first came up for you. And I'd like you to kind of sit with this question over the next few hours or few days and see if that job changes. Let the question kind of settle in. Okay, so you've got an idea of your theme. Now we have this goat thinking about the best bet format. And I wanted to just call out at the very beginning, I say best bet because we're not seeking perfection. We're not like, we have to have the greatest format ever to exist. It's like it will change. It will completely change. Or I should say, it will likely change. In my experience, what we began with and what we have now is the same, like serving the same people, but the format is quite different. So format is something that I mentioned that I overlooked for the longest time. I remember just feeling like I was throwing like spaghetti against the wall, and I kept coming up against the dreaded blank page problem where I'd be like, oh gosh, it's been a week and now I need to write something and I don't know what I want to write. And at the beginning, I was writing these real deep dive essays, and Edger will attribute, back me up here that it would take me months. It would take me months to join all of these dots together. And I was like, oh gosh, this is like not going to work over the long term. And so what I wanted to call out is that there are different formats. And if you can land on one or two that light you up, that work best for you, that give you almost like a template so that each week you just need to go and fill in that format, I promise you, it will save you so much energy and brain space because you just know what works. And once you land on that format, what you can do is tweak it. And I like to think it's like the 1% better every week. So it's like, what's one thing you might do differently every week? And then you can test it. beehiiv has fantastic analytics for testing and to see the analytics of your newsletters, to understand things like which things are people clicking on, which newsletters are people opening, which is the best engagement, which is the worst. And then it is just a case of repeating. I'm going to keep coming back to this, that it's taken us 3 years to get to this point, and it's been 3 years of at the beginning a lot of throwing that spaghetti at the wall. So at the beginning, I know that a lot of you are in this place of, you think you have you know that you have a message to share, you know that it's important, but it's almost like a paralysis of doing the publish thing. The scary thing is pushing that publish button. And so I'm hoping that if we can create together your best bet format, it's going to take away some of that fear, and allow you to know that you can push publish and you can tweak it and you can change your mind and it will evolve as you go. So your best bet format, I'm going to give you a few examples of a best bet format. We love examples. Now, this was taken from Newsletter Operator, and hopefully this will give you some ideas. If you are a newsletter reader, which honestly, if you're going to be writing a newsletter, I hope that you're a newsletter reader, because this is where you can get a lot of inspiration of what works for you and what you might do differently. So feel free to take a screenshot of this, but I won't run through them all. It's got the kind of format plus the examples so that you can go and look at. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can go and check them out. And I've also linked, I think it's Matt McGarry who writes Newsletter Operator. And so once again, we're going to put 2 minutes on the clock, and I want you to kind of marry up. Take what you think might be your best bet format, and then if you can marry it up to the job to be done, see if you can imagine what that might look like. So see if you can think, okay, let's say, like, for example, generalist world, job opportunities. A curated list makes perfect sense. So see if you can spend a little bit more time fleshing out your job to be done, and then take a format and maybe choose one or two formats that you think might be your best bet. And I think we've got one more. Yes, we've got another clock. Okay, off you go. We're still going to have a minute, but I'm just going to come back to the previous slide so that people can check that slide. There you go, Hillary. And a minute of silence. But I'm curious if now that you see the formats, if this changes anything for you around the job to be done. Because both of those things have to work to make a newsletter work over the long term. Ooh, visual, fun. All right, about 10 more seconds. Feel free to add in the chat which of the formats you think would work best for you. Weekly deep dive. And also, if you're stuck, you can think of what are the newsletters you enjoy the most to read. That can often be, can give you some good clues as to which you might enjoy to write the most. Curated lists. We've got a superhuman. Is that the favorite one to read? Ooh, weekly challenges. Story and framework. Awesome. And honestly, the answers of this is exactly why I love newsletters. There is so much variety in what you can do. There's no one right way to create or grow a newsletter. Anthony, okay, you're stuck between three. I would, Anthony, I would come back to your job to be done and I would try and marry that and see which of the three is your hunch that you think might work best for that job to be done. Okay, I'm going to keep us moving into culture. So, defining the culture of your newsletter is something that I see almost nobody talk about, which I think is wild because I think it is the thing that sets you apart. I kind of think of culture as lore, as the way that you do things, the way that you write, how you make people feel. And specifically, I think culture is how others describe your newsletter. And having a strong culture, particularly in this AI everything world, is how you grow and sustain. It's how you build trust. So the thing that you do not want to be, the number one thing that you do not want to be when you're growing and writing a newsletter is forgettable. And that might sound a little bit harsh, but it's true. Because maybe you can convince someone to sign up and subscribe to your newsletter. But if they're not going to get value, if it's forgettable, if it doesn't have like a strong culture, a strong message, a strong point of view, then like what's the point? You got someone to subscribe, but then they never open the newsletter. The whole point here is to continuously provide value to your audience. So, in my opinion, culture is how you become unforgettable. Culture is how you avoid the forgettable, the graveyard of being forgettable. And so, how you actually do this? So shout out to Wes KO from Maven. She is the queen of the spiky point of view. And so that's having something like, what do you stand for? What are you really standing for? Um, Being a writer with a really strong, consistent voice. And I know this can be scary if you feel like writing isn't something that comes naturally to you. My advice to that is practice. Unfortunately and annoyingly, that is how you develop a strong, consistent voice is by writing, writing more and more and more, and building that muscle. And I think also um I don't know if it comes from like something in school. It's like when, your art teacher told you weren't good at art, and then you spend your whole life believing you're not good at art. I think it can be kind of similar for writing. Maybe your English teacher told you one day that you weren't good at writing because you couldn't follow this exact format. And I would just say try and like unlearn that. Try and unlearn it and lean in to writing. I mean, you'll experiment as you go, but the more practice you get, the more your voice will start to emerge. Um, I also think it's really valuable to focus on being clear over clever. I think again, it's this like this residue from school days that we want to sound really, really clever, but actually what people want to read in their inbox is something that's really clear. So if you have the choice of saying something in a really clever way that might lose people, or just being super clear, always opt for the clear. And I've also added in here rare or scarce. And I'd love you to start thinking about this, start kind of planting the seed in your mind. And maybe this won't be something that begins right at the beginning, but maybe it's something that emerges. It's like, what can people only find within your newsletter? What is the message that people can only find with you? If you can start to develop this rare, scarce content, that's going to be extremely valuable. But ultimately, your newsletter is a way of building trust with people. It's actually quite an intimate experience when you think about it. It's a one-to-one. Someone is reading the thoughts from your brain. And when you can do this in a way that has a strong culture, this is a way of building a deep level of trust with someone. The amount of times I get people replying to our newsletters and they're like, I feel like you know me, or I could have said this myself. These are the kind of snippets I look for to say, okay, we're on the right track. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit fun. I'm going to put our last 2 minutes on the clock, and we're going to get into our spiky point of view. I'm excited to see what comes up here. So, what I want us to look at is what is something that you believe? What is the thing that you have a really strong opinion or a really strong knowledge base about that could form the basis of your newsletter? It could be counterintuitive. It could be a slightly different way of looking at things. For example, generalist world is like we live in this world where it's like a jack of all trades, a master of none, and there's this huge stigma that comes with being a generalist, where we're flying this flag saying generalists deserve to be visible, viable, and valuable in the future of work. So we have a very strong, spiky point of view, and it's something that I believe to my core that generalists are extremely valuable. So have a little bit of fun with this. There's a bunch of angles I'm sure that you can take. And we're going to be trying to nail down what is your spiky point of view. And this one, please feel free to share in the chat. This will be great to see what folks come up with. 2 minutes. And I challenge you in the last 20 seconds to make it 20% more spiky. Is there an extra spike you can add to this point of view? And they sound amazing. Spiky or spicy? And I just want to call out, I'm so happy to see people helping each other in the comments. This is what it's all about. I can see people replying to each other already, giving advice, giving feedback. This is why I love GW, everything, but specifically events. Um, Thank you so much for sharing. There's so many to read, but I'm gonna nerd out on them after this session. So we've come to the part of the session where we're going to get actually really tactical. I've given you quite a lot of like, woof, high level, here's how to think about it. But let's like think about what this actually looks like when you can do it in a platform. So beehiiv was I believe, the first annual subscription I ever bought with the Generalist World card. And at the time I had no money. So it was a big deal. I was like, oh gosh, this feels really scary to buy an annual subscription. But I could see the immense value that not even value, it was just like, I need it. I need to have direct access to Generalist. I need this. And so it was kind of a no-brainer, although I do remember it felt scary at the time to commit to an annual subscription of anything. It was very new. So we're very lucky to have with us Jake, who I believe Edja will bring up to this stage. And we're going to get a quick start tutorial. So also write all your questions because at the end, Jake and I are going to be tackling as many questions as we possibly can. So, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Edja's doing her thing.
Nice. Well, lovely to meet all of you, and thank you very much, Millie. I guess one bit of housekeeping for Millie, I think Luke has just messaged around some of the follow-on things, which you may want to check. But whilst I do the demo, I'm going to share my screen and basically walk you through, I guess, kind of my newsletter journey, and then kind of walk through what is beehiiv, how to use it, how to get the most out of it. So this is release notes that you guys are seeing right now. This is my newsletter, which I've only started 2 months ago, almost to the day. So I'm very much on the same sort of journey as a lot of you. And effectively, I was thinking about it as Millie was taking you guys through the thing, through the workshop about the angle and the point. My point was going, okay, what can I write about that's interesting? I'm a product manager. I want to talk about product management in the context of beehiiv and the creator economy. That's something that I can kind of have some expertise on, and I won't struggle to find an interesting take because it's what I do all day, every day, and that sort of helped me kind of get the confidence to do it. So if I kind of jump into the beehiiv backend, which is what you'll see when you guys sign up, you effectively have the core of it is ultimately writing newsletters. Okay, and what beehiiv does, and what I guess is different from a lot of other platforms, is we are all the features we've built are for help to help people grow and ultimately monetize if they want. Okay, you don't have to monetize, but I think the objective is you want to grow an audience. You're not just writing because you enjoy writing for the sake of it. There is a sort of an objective in mind. That might be personal brand, that might be network, that might be financial freedom and paying off your student loan. But there is an objective, and the features we've built are very tailored to help you do that. So there's obviously the kind of, I mean, I won't necessarily go through every single piece, but there's the kind of core writing experience, which is designed to allow you to sort of punch out high quality newsletters at scale if you want. We've sort of taken that one step further, and some really creative people have connected it up to Zapier and other tools, and they are piping in newsletters via API, and we've got all this advanced functionality which is there if you want to sort of dial it up, which I think is the main thing about beehiiv that maybe you should take away, is that beehiiv will grow with you. Most of the people we get signing up to beehiiv are outgrowing other platforms. They started there, they thought that was the right one, and then they've gone, I want to take this more seriously. And can I have this feature? It didn't exist. Can I have this integration? Didn't exist. And I think that's kind of where beehiiv sets it apart. So you'll come on, you'll set up your newsletter, you can design newsletters fairly easily. We have all sorts of integrations, so you can create these kind of content-rich formats if you want. You can have very heavy writing formats. You can embed things like polls and do all this sort of advanced email functionality that you'd want. But I think one of the really cool things, which I'll talk about in a minute, is I was able to run an ad and earn money off my first newsletter, starting from scratch. And I'm not expecting necessarily to pay off a student loan or anything like that, but the idea that I could spend a couple of hours writing and at the end of it, I send it out and I had, I think, something like $15 off that first one was pretty cool. And it was a nice way of going, okay, like I can really see how this could build. So my newsletter ultimately follows my working week. It's like, hey, I did this thing last month. I want to do that. And so I basically have this, and then I also build that out onto my website where people can also interact with it. And once they're on my website, then they can interact with other things that I've done. So, for example, we've been rolling out things, other ways of helping you engage and monetize with your audience. And there are things such as, which I've just launched as a way of showing you, is we now have things like products that you can sell. So you can package up your expertise, your knowledge, your style, or whatever it is you do. You can package it up as products, and it just gives you another way of engaging and monetizing and creating that sort of passive income you want. So I'm doing a sort of like a workshop thing for product strategy. You can do literally anything, and you can have my winter style guide if you're in fashion, or recipes if you're in food, or like literally I've seen them all. But yeah, so you've got, I'd say, let's call this the newsletter writing experience. You've then got this really rich area where you can capture and enrich your audience. So I've got all these custom fields here, which I get people to fill out when they sign up, which tells me what topics they're interested in, what role they have, what company they're at. So I get a good visualization of their audience. I can then bring those into segments, and I can go, okay, if I've got a CEO founder, I might want to try and land an advisory role with them. So I might send them a specific email. I actually don't have one set up at the moment, but in theory, I could set up segments here. Automations, again, my newsletter is still very small, as you'd have seen, but what people often will have is they'll have automations to upsell people, automations to clean their lists and make sure their list is super engaged, all these things that you'll want as your newsletter grows. And you can just put all these kind of things on autopilot. Again, I mentioned surveys. To just give you an idea, I've got this like these are the kind of insights I get from everyone that subscribes to my newsletter. So I'm able to have a real good sense of what to write about, which if you're not sure about, like what I did is I put in 5 ideas. When people subscribe, they fill out this form. I put in 5 ideas that I thought were quite interesting. I got ChatGPT to give me some others that were maybe like slightly different. And I've just been getting people to vote on what they want to see. And then that informs what I write about. And it just takes some of the pressure off me as that writer. And so, yeah, so that's kind of the bread and butter newsletter stuff. And beehiiv is broadly considered to be the most powerful and kind of creator friendly for those. But I think what makes it really interesting is these two here: grow and monetize. Grow, this is all about helping you get more followers, more subscribers, I should say. And there's recommendations. This is similar to where you have newsletters that you say, hey, look, subscribe to my newsletter, but by the way, here I recommend Millie's and I recommend some other newsletters. And you can have these reciprocal arrangements there. But you can also, if you really want to turn the taps on, which I do, I put a little bit of money in every single month. And I say, hey, look, I will pay $1 for a verified subscriber. So that's someone that is effectively checked as being a real person, engaged, blah, blah, blah. And I have the Beehive network driving me subscribers whilst I sleep. Like, yes, I post on LinkedIn or whatever, but probably 50% of my new subscribers come through this boost mechanism where I'm putting in, say, 50 to 100 every sort of week or 2 weeks and just started growing my newsletter on autopilot versus me just having to be on LinkedIn all the time, which I was finding quite hard. And so yeah, there are these mechanisms where if you want to grow, Beehive can help you grow. And then I think this is probably the coolest bit is once you've got your newsletter, Beehive will say, hey, okay, we've got ads that can advertise. So these are the ones I got. You get given them every week on Sunday. So these are the one I've already used one up, but these are the three that I've got left. They're different types of ad campaigns, but you can effectively click on any of them. You can set the type of which version of the ad you want to run. Just give it a second to load. Classic live demo not loading, but effectively you'll see the ad creative here and the ad copy on the left. Oh, there you go. And so you can choose, you're not fixed to one. You can choose the one that sort of vibes with your tone the best. You can choose to have no logo. And I will just add that to my newsletter. Anytime someone clicks on it, I get paid. And then I take that ad money, I put it into boosts, and I get people to grow my newsletter for me. And it's just chugging along. And yeah, I'm not expecting it to be 100,000 subscribers necessarily, but because mine is niche, and I think this is really important, if you have a really engaged niche, you can monetize that really well, independent of ads and other things. But me having 10,000 senior product managers and head of product, that's a career for me right there. I probably don't need much else. And that's probably all my future roles sorted. So yeah, look, there's loads of different features Beehive has. I think these are probably the most important. But once you're sort of in the ecosystem, Beehive's always trying to make it the one subscription you need. And so the we've added in tons of tools like the website, which Millie uses, and other things where you can go, okay, I've got that, and then we go, okay, we'll add some more podcasting features or whatever it is, and you can just build that in, replace all those other subscriptions, so you feel really confident committing to that annual subscription, going, this is the one thing I need to run my business. So yeah, look, there are absolutely loads of things I could show you. I will be here for the hour, so I won't. But I'll save it so we can go through in Q&A at the end, if that makes sense. Unless, Millie, there's anything you'd like me to touch on right now.
Yep, no, that sounds awesome. Thanks so much, Shake. I think there's going to be a load of questions, so I'm going to keep us moving so that we can spend as much time as we possibly can getting through these questions. I'm just going to flick back to my screen here seamlessly. Look at that. Okay. So we are coming up to the end, and I just want to do a very quick, like the top five plus a bonus things that I've learned growing now to 43,000 subscribers. So you will try probably 50 different growth strategies. You'll be like, okay, I'm going to post on LinkedIn, I'm going to try on TikTok, and one will probably work. But unfortunately, it is a process of just trying the different strategies. But then when you find that one, rinse it. Do it again and again and again and again and again and again until it doesn't work, and then you could look for another one. Um, Jake actually touched on this, which was awesome. But so on Beehive, you can create these like automations. And so we have a welcome sequence. And the welcome sequence, I think, is like unused real estate. I think that people like just are like, hi, click here to confirm. It's like, that doesn't surprise or delight me. Use that welcome sequence to surprise and delight. One way that we do that is we include discounts. So as soon as people subscribe to Generalist World, I'm like, here's some free stuff. Enjoy. It's all the brands that we love to work with, and people love it. Surveys, Jake touched on. It's really easy to make a survey in Beehive, and one of my top tips is to include a rant space. Include a space that's an open-ended, and literally say rant or vent. Get it off your chest. There's so much gold that comes through when you just allow people to be like, this is the annoying things that are happening in my life, specific to whatever the context of your newsletter is. Polls are brilliant. We use polls as an easy, really automated way to gather feedback. So it could be like, did you enjoy this newsletter? Yes, no, and then people can write why or why not. We also use it as a way to get people to opt out. So let's say they just got a job and they're like, I don't want to see the job opportunities anymore. We automate that opting out through a poll. And a note on monetization because it matters, right? And when you are getting started, you're going to hear so much different advice on like when to monetize. I would say monetize at the right time for you. For me, that was ages. It took me 3 years before I started taking on actual sponsorships. And for me, that felt right. My goal wasn't to monetize at the beginning, it was to build this deep level of trust. For others, it might be to like, heck yeah, let's get paid out the gate. And maybe that works for you. So monetize at the right time for you, not necessarily on what everyone else is doing. And the last one is just like my strategy for life. If you want to do anything for a long time, and if you want to do it well, and if you want people to magnetize toward you, you've got to have fun with it. There's got to be some element of you actually enjoying the process of it and having fun. Okay, we are going to get into, we're going to do, Edja, what do you think? Do we do the challenge first or do we do the questions first? Challenge first? The Queen has spoken, everyone. There is going to be a fun challenge. There's going to be different levels to the challenge. Now, you're going to see this. Don't run away. Don't be terrified. I know it's scary, but I tell you what, when you publicly commit to something, it's amazing how much more likely you are to follow through with that thing. So, your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to write a LinkedIn post declaring, doesn't have to be declaring, you can just say, that you are going to be working on a newsletter in 2026. And this is a great chance to welcome feedback, to get ideas, to hear what people are wanting from your brain, from your knowledge hub. Remember, you can always change your mind. Just because you declare it doesn't mean you have to, that is the thing you have to stick with. You could also share that you're in the messy middle. You're in the process of teasing this out. And when you post, tag me. I am the queen of amplifying. I will amplify, I will comment, I will make sure people see it, and also tag beehiiv because they will help amplify it as well. If you want, that's the big challenge. If you want a slightly smaller challenge, Edja is going to add a link, I believe, she's already done it, Queen, to a LinkedIn post. So this is a great way to stay in touch with everyone who is on this call today. So just open that link, keep it in a different browser, and then you can go and comment on it after this session. We've also got beehiiv has very kindly given me a 30% off voucher. You can just use the code Millie30, which will pop in. Should be able to see it there. So I'm going to leave this up and I'm going to leave the challenge up so we can kind of have a look at them. And then we're going to get into questions, of which I think there is going to be an absolute fire hose of questions. Is that correct, Edja? Okay, let me bring up that doc and hopefully, are there two docs? Okay, I'm going to stop that share. Ah, I can see everyone. Hi. It's always funny when you're presenting, you see like two people. Great to see so many faces. Let me pull up this document really quick and Edja, how have you organized this? Shall I just go like top to bottom?
Yeah, I couldn't organize it to be honest because all questions were quite unique.
Okay. Jake, do you also have visibility into these questions?
I do indeed.
Okay.
One of them was the Substack versus beehiiv one, which I thought could be a useful one to
Yes.
maybe
You want to
pick up.
kick us off with that?
Yeah, so this is the question we probably get the most often, and I think Substack is, for context, is free. It's very easy to get started. It is really designed. It really caters to the I want to write for writing's sake example. And so if you want to treat it as kind of like a passion project, Substack is arguably the better tool, and I'll happily say that it a lot of smart defaults, not much customizability, but it works and it is quite a nice experience and all the rest. If you want to monetize, the challenge you have is they will take 10% of everything you earn, and over time that becomes quite an issue. And also, the downside of it being simple is that you then can't customize it. Beehiiv is on the other side. Everything we do is it's not free, but everything we do is to help you grow and sort of justify that cost. It is free when you start up to 2,500 subscribers anyway. So for where a lot of you are, it will be fine. But it's really about the platform that will grow with you. So it helps you grow, it will help you monetize. There's 0% commission on any earnings ever through the platform. So it's really sort of tailored towards that use case. And as I say, most of our users are actually people that signed up for Substack first and are switching. And that's not a anti-Substack thing. It's just they wanted some customizability, they wanted an integration, they wanted something, and they felt that beehiiv was a better platform for that. So I'd say that's probably the best way of illustrating the difference. And Joe has moved, so perfect example.
I hope that helps, folks. There's a couple of questions about why did I choose beehiiv in the first place? To be honest, at the time they were really young. I feel like me and GW and beehiiv have kind of grown up together, and they've improved and changed so much over the last 3 years. My big reason for choosing them at the time was the team. I was really, really bullish on the team. This is a team who built Morning Brew. And I was like, I reckon these guys know a thing or two about growth. So the first was the team. And the second, the thing that like clinched me, the thing that I was like, yeah, I'm in, is the customer service. It's possibly the best customer service I've had for any software product I've ever used. They are so fast, they are so speedy. You can DM. They've also got a really like a chatbot that actually works, like what do they call it, the Hive or something? It's like a chat help. And it actually is really fantastic. So the customer service, which is really important, and I was really bullish on the team. So they were my reasons. And it was also, yeah, I knew that I wanted to eventually monetize, so it made sense to be on the platform that's built for growth. What else have we got? Oh my gosh, there's so many questions. How much is the annual subscription, Jake?
It completely depends, because there's multiple tiers based on the level of, I guess, functionality that you want, and then obviously it's designed to grow with the amount of subscribers you have. So we have, and just to give you an idea of how powerful it can be if you ever want to get there, like we have people like TechCrunch that use beehiiv and Time Magazine that use beehiiv to send theirs to. We've got people with millions of subscribers that are sending like millions of emails a week. And so they're paying obviously absolutely loads, but most people are probably paying anywhere between sort of $15 and $100 or something like that per month, based off their subscribers. But if you go to beehiiv.com/pricing, you can kind of you can dial in your followers, your subscribers, to give you a sense of the price. And I think the annual is 20%, and there might even still be the Black Friday, Cyber Monday thing. Plus, well, you got Millie's offer, so you'll get quite a considerable discount if you go annual on your subscribe limit.
And Jake, one more question that was around, I think it was around when you sent your first email and you made like $15 in ads. Do you have to have a certain number of subscribers to access that feature?
No, you don't. The what you do need to have, I think ads aren't available if you're on the free trial plan effectively. And that's mainly because a big part of running ads is making sure that the people that are using it are like not trying to game the system. And obviously once you're paying for a subscription, you're much more sort of legitimate. At least we found. So I think you have to be on a paid plan. But other than that, you can do it from day one, I think. You may need to have sent one newsletter in order to access it. I obviously was working there, so I might have got access slightly earlier. But yeah, it's designed to be for everyone.
Awesome. Another question, and maybe this will be the last one because oh my gosh, I realized we're at the top of the hour. So don't worry, we're going to be doing way more of these sessions in 2026 because there's clearly so much more to dig into. The final question I will just close us off with is how did you grow from 0 to 1,000? How many months did it take? It took ages. I think it took like many months, 4, 5, 6 months, maybe even longer. It's hard to remember back then. But my tip with this is you have to be shameless. You have to be shameless in plugging everywhere. It is in my LinkedIn bio. It is in my Instagram bio. It is like every time I finish a LinkedIn post, are you a generalist? Come sign up here. Shamelessness gets subscribers. And if it's not for people, they won't get sick of it. They'll just scroll past. They won't even like notice that you're asking. But for the right people, they will opt in. Folks, thank you so much for coming along and spending this hour with us. I hope to see everyone on the LinkedIn post. I'm going to head over there and try and engage with everyone. So if you've enjoyed this, post about it, tag us, give me, give Ija, give beehiiv, give us all some love, and make sure you connect with each other too, because you might just find your newsletter buddy for 2026. That'd be kind of cool. Have a wonderful day or evening or morning, wherever you are in the world, and thank you for spending this hour with us. Bye.